Hello, you beautiful people of YouTube. How have you guys been? And today I'm going to review the Koss KPH30i headphone for you guys. So I really wish that I reviewed this headphone before I went to RMF this month. And what a trip that was, because if I did review it before I went to the RMF, I would have given this headphone a 30% better review. Now, this headphone has a special quality, and that is why I'm reviewing it. So let's get into the review. So starting with the build, always the build. As you can see, well, they come in a 3 or 4 colors. Off mass drop, they are $20. On the regular Amazon, they are about $37. And as you can see, they are built entirely of plastic, and it is not there's no getting around it. They don't feel as sturdy as my Koss Porta Pros because they are not made of metal. And but however, they haven't broken on. They didn't break. Nothing came loose. They've been going fine. So I had these for a couple months maybe, and they've been pretty fine. So overall, I would say that you get what you pay for, but I don't have any major complaints except for one thing. The cups, they don't have a lot of give. So sometimes you have to move them around on your head to get a perfect fit. They are pretty light, so they don't have any hot spots on the head or anything like that. They are held together. Well, this thing sets on your head, the silicone latex kind of thing. Doesn't bother me, doesn't get hot. So I mean, apart from being cheaply built, I don't have any major complaints about the build, about the comfort. Now this wire is thick enough, it will last you quite a while. They do supply a microphone. On the mass drop version, mine says doesn't say mass drop, but mine says Koss. Now, one of the things that is a strong point of this headphone is that it's got a spring relief on the jack. Now, this thing might cost you like 10 cents to put it on a headphone, and none of the major manufacturers do it. Some do, not all of them. Most of them forget to do that. This is especially useful if you got a headphone like this one where you have the permanently attached wire. So that is one thing I want to see more manufacturers doing, which is including this spring relief. The pads are not very thick, but they don't hurt your ears. Those Koss Porta Pros, they had a little hook. I'll show you. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but this hook is right here and it will dig into your ear. Plus, when you move these Porta Pros, the hair gets caught. This headphone has none of those problems at all. And that is about the build and comfort. There is nothing really to talk about this except one more thing. They don't collapse. So this is what you will be carrying around. This is the size that you will be carrying around. And obviously the cups don't fold down. So they are not as portable as I would have wished them to be. At least be on Koss Porta Pros level. The KSC75, they are the most portable out of all of those. So that was the build, comfort. Yep, that is it. So let's move on to the sound. I don't know if you guys remember, but that was a gag I did in the last review. So if I want to talk about sound, There are really two kinds of sound that this headphone has. The one sound is the stock sound, and the stock sound is very, very good. Then there is another kind of sound that this headphone has, which is when you equalize these headphones, and those two are very, very different. And really, is this is just two headphones, to be honest. And the stock sound is warm. You equalize them about half a dB or 1 dB in the highs or the upper mid range or both, depending on your own personal taste. But stock, they're a little warm, so the idea basically is to get sparkle in the highs going. So let's discuss the sound in the stock form first. Now bass. The bass is light. It is not like KSC or Porta Pros. The Porta Pros had a mid bass hump. The KSC 75s, the bass was light but bass went deep. It doesn't do that. It is kinda like the Monks Plus kind of bass. And you could actually try to equalize bass, but I haven't done it. So I don't know how that turns out, but the way they are responsive to the EQ, I'm guessing they are pretty good. And even in stock, the bass is enjoyable. It is not non-existent. It is pretty enjoyable. But it will not satisfy you with something like Weekend, Abel. Well, what that one song where he had a crash and the girl is coming out of the car and beating him. Often? Yeah, that was the song, I think. So anyway, moving on to the mid range. The mid range is wonderfully present and warm. And the great thing about bass being light on this headphone is that the mid range, the bass, the mid bass, upper bass, lower bass, none of it bleeds into the mid range. The mid range is intact. The highs don't bleed into mid range, the bass doesn't bleed into mid range, so it is appropriate. They could have a little bit more detail, but I would not say that the detail is missing. They could have just a little bit of an extra punch, like the KSC does, the KSC 75. It doesn't have that, but it satisfies you. If you wanted to get better, warm sounding mid range, you probably had to look for HD6XX, which is a version of 650. They are basically the same thing. But you'll have to look at that good of a headphone if you want better warm mid-range. The mid-range on this is so enjoyable. Like everything is so leveled. Nothing really jumps out at you, tries to grab your attention. And that is the highest praise I can give to this headphone, that if you wanted better warm sounding mid-range, you'll have to jump to $200 and spend money on that Sennheiser. Now highs are the weakest point of this headphone, and that is why I tried to equalize them, but sometimes I don't want them equalized. I don't want them a little bit extra. The highs are warm too. They do not extend very far, but they are not completely non-existent like the Bose or some other headphones I have listened to. They feel restrained, but they still have to move around. They still have room to move around. My bad. So that is how the sound is. They're easy to drive. The sound stage is about as much as the Koss Porta Pros. It is not super wide, it is not super claustrophobic. It is about right. Now, when I used these headphones, talking about sound stage, when I used these headphones for the gaming, I did not expect them to be very good at gaming. because they don't have a great amount of detail. But surprisingly, they turned out to be very decent at gaming. I was able to locate gunshots, I was able to locate footsteps. Not as good as my Bear Dynamics, but I still was able to do it. So if you were to plug this jack into your PlayStation or Xbox controllers, you will be fine, in my opinion. Not maybe not for competitive, but you will be fine. And that is how the imaging is. It's not super accurate. It's not super fast. Center imaging is alright. You are able to hear center exactly the way it should be. But across is not doing too great. So that is how the imaging is, it's palpable. I would not say it is great. The dynamics are the same story. Now let's talk about the equalizing. Now this is entirely gonna depend on your taste. I really liked these headphones because no matter what you throw at them, it will come out sounding warm, relaxed, and it will not make you feel fatigued. These headphones, the Koss KPH30i do the same thing. However, they got a little bit of unevenness in them. And that is why these are not the headphones that these are. When I was trying to review them, a lot of people on Headfighter asked me, they were like, hey, how better are they than Koss KPH30i? It is not about how better these headphones are than the Koss KPH30i. It is about how different they sound. They sound quite different, and you would be absolutely fine owning them alongside KSC75 because the warmth in it feels like a hot cocoa, a cup of hot cocoa on a December morning when you pull out your clothes from the dryer and you grab them and they're so warm. It's comforting. It's a comforting kind of sound, which I find very, very pleasurable. And when you EQ them, I EQ'd them in highs and in upper mid range. You get the detail as well. The headphone retains its character. It does not sound distended. And it will still sound warm, but you will add some detail. You will lose a little bit of warmth, just a tiny bit, but you will add some detail. And I found that very enjoyable as well for classical music. And for jazz, I would not EQ, because you got those instrument going, saxophone, horns, stuff like that. So you could really like hear all different kinds of music, enjoy them two different ways, and that is a great thing. It is not in running to be the best headphone, under $50 to be the best headphone, under $25. It is something you own because you want to, and that is why these headphones are great. I still think that out of Koss KPH30i, KSC75 and Porta Pros, if you want the best possible headphone, you still would want to go for the KSC75. But this is in its own league. It is just entirely different, and it offers you two sound profiles, and it comforts you. It's you feel good when you are listening music to this headphone. Should you own it? Depends totally on you and what you own. We already own KSC35, KSC75. Yeah, you could still spend $20 on mass drop and get this one. However, it will not raise you. That is the thing. It will add variety, 100%. It will not raise the quality of sound you're hearing. And do I recommend this headphone? Totally depends on you guys. So this was my review of these, the Koss KPH30i. I like them. They get my approval. If you guys are wondering what these are, they are Master and Dynamic MH30, not mine. They're somebody's. They're gonna get reviewed as well. So that is my video, and see you guys in next one. Have a happy weekend and love ya.